hill to make and little, sorry for the names, yeah, please come in and sit there. So we have a team of 3 foreign polytechnics from IPBeja in Nolan, from Finland, Jank, and from Switzerland, Lucas, please join us. And the idea of this session is the challenge to upgrading schools in the green and circular economy. And we have been visiting IPBeja a few months ago, and we're very happy to have you here back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, now the challenge is yours. Supposed to understand some English. Thank you for the, yeah, I will use this one. Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here today. It's part of my holiday, so I'm enjoying Portugal in different stages. It's interesting for me to be here because you are speaking about very important issues. And it's also nice to meet a few people I met a long time ago. But, so from Ponte de Lima, a colleague, but also my friend Madrid Pereira, with whom I work together very closely. I will not speak about science. I will not speak about enterprises. I will speak about professional higher agricultural education, representing a University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. We have 3 locations. The old one is known Dronten, a real agricultural University of Applied Sciences. We have a small location in Wageningen, the city is well known, where we educate secondary school teachers. And we have a new location in the city of Almere, over here, that's next to Amsterdam. We are supposed to offer meaningful higher agricultural education. What's meaningful these days? These few sites show very dramatic changes in agriculture, from regular agriculture into agriculture where we face with climate change, lack of water, lack of fertile soils. The small-scale dairy production into industrial dairy production. Production on the land changes into urban production systems. And also the global fact that we get more and more cities. And the big question is, when you want to be meaningful in higher education, what should you do? I have defined 3 challenges for higher agricultural education. The first challenge is to respond to developments in our society. What do we see? There's demand for new, sustainable solutions that make our world future-proof. The second one, and we heard about it, was very interesting. There are many developments in our companies. And how can we, as higher agricultural education, contribute? We should support the companies to get innovative, entrepreneurial and flexible professionals. And we also see demands in our students' population. They are not sitting in a bench waiting till the professor speaks. No, they want to have education that's meaningful, that anticipates on the future developments and that prepares for jobs. It was interesting, I read in your Publico last week that there are many students who are educated for research, but they don't find jobs, because companies don't only need researchers, they need professionals. Of course, researchers are professionals too, but in a different area. And I think higher agricultural education, in the way that we offer it, like polytechnics, should work towards profession education. How did we do that? Very brief. We had a dark green part, very rural. It means we offered study programs like animal production, horticulture, mechanization, food production, and the big global food trade. We were losing students because our country is full of those people. We have enough of them. But what did we see? That the sciences change towards an urban context. So we decided to also start, as I call it, the bright green domain, in which we offer study programs related to urban agriculture, smart farming, precision farming with ICT, very important food and health sciences, green urban development, including how you can make cities climate resilient, water quality together with the students of IPBeja here, sustainable business in the line of what we heard about the insects, and also what we heard in the speech of the Lady of Continent, the regional food business. I did already invite those two speakers to reflect on our education. But, so there are big problems, and what can we do? When we want to develop meaningful higher education, we need to listen to the companies. And we should start with sessions with the companies to understand where their future needs are. Together, we should find and define the relevant jobs which require a background in higher education. So, for example, we should read very carefully what is in job announcements, what do the companies need? And from there, we should reason back to the development of new higher agricultural education programs. So it starts in the companies, listening very well, and then develop new, meaningful higher education. So from outside, we go back to inside. And I say, the license of existence for higher agricultural education, for polytechnics, for universities of applied science, is not the big production of papers, is not to do the scientific research. The license to exist is to offer high quality, profession-oriented higher education. And these are our ingredients. Of course, good theory based on research. Feedback regularly from the world of work, from the companies. Give the students as many projects and internships as they need. We offer at least 40 to 45% of that. And, of course, the practice-oriented research. I'm almost there. Our basic vision, our success depends on giving the students the central position they need. And we do this with the help of good lecturers who consider lecturing as their most important job, rather than devote themselves only to research. Of course, that's important, but education is what they must do. They must have a strong network in the world of work, and they must be able to support the students in the development of their competences. So the theory is one thing, and these few things are as important as well, like entrepreneurship, thinking about sustainability, being international, and being devoted to innovation. And then, maybe the last thing to say, we see that such an approach is successful. Just a few figures. Our graduates have a successful entry in the job market. In 2015, 95% found a good job within 3 months. In comparison to general polytechnical education, it was 90%. Scientific universities, only 40%. And the job also matches with the study program. The students say it's very good. That's what I want to say about how we want to approach higher education as Polytechnic. I hope that we can cooperate in sharing this vision. We are, as Eers University of Applied Sciences, always available to support the processes that you are in here, and I wish you good luck in your very good work in your polytechnics. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, next we have the presentation by the Institute of Bioeconomy. Bioeconomy as a business is generator. Your presentation, yes?
Yes, it's mine. But how about the comment?
Yeah. Well, the comments, the Polytechnic Fo Rum China's could arrive in due time. So we will go on with your presentation, and the next commenter will do books.
So, good afternoon. My Portuguese is not so fluent, so must do this in English as well. So, greetings from Finland. Before leaving here, I took a couple photos, and as you see, conditions are a little bit different there. I'm walking on water there, and we have some snow and so on. So, there are many reasons to appreciate this invitation to come here. So thank you very much. So my name is Markku Paaranen, and I come from the Young University of Applied Sciences, and we have a unit called Institute of Bioeconomy, and it's also in the title. So I will talk about the business generation activity in our institute. At least try to open it a bit in 10 minutes. So let's see if I won't be able to give you answers. Hopefully I can break up some questions. So our university is located in the city of Jyväskylä here in central Finland. It's the university of about 8,000 students, and we have 8 fields of study. And it has one unit outside of Jyväskylä, about 60 kilometers, and it's that Institute of Bioeconomy. And Young wants to be the best university of applied sciences in Finland with strong track record in quality education, internationalization, and promotion of entrepreneurship. And now I have picked the third corner of this strategy and discuss about that. From the perspective of that. The Institute of Bioeconomy, we say that we are experts in agriculture, bioenergy, and clean water, and nowadays more and more we are also dealing with forestry and wood-based economies. And we said also we are striving for new bioeconomy. It means that we educate skills and competencies to the sector, we generate and develop new ideas and innovations, and we promote new bio-based businesses. And this education, applied R&D and innovation work related to this new business development, they have a very close relationship, and they create a kind of holistic system. You can see the institute is located in the middle of biomass resources, Finnish biomass resources. I noticed that you have different kind of biomass resources here. So forest and waters. And we have also experimental farm there, and there are a lot of real processes that can be utilized in training and also in R&D purposes and so on. And we are at the same campus with another training organization, and we are doing close cooperation with them and some other organizations. And our mission is that this campus, we call it as a bioeconomy campus, is a hub of know-how and business where companies, students, researchers, and investors meet. So our principle is that we demolish the wall around the training organization, so it will be open to all kind of players in the region. I'm not going to talk about that much, but a little bit about the system. This our national RBI system in Finland. X-axis here is the commercialization perspective here in long term and here in short term. And there is academic research and then applied research performed by large companies and big market potentials and so on. And then there's applied research and development with relatively short commercialization perspective and SMEs involved and so on. So this bioeconomic campus and our institute is located in this edge of this graph. So we are expected to develop entrepreneurship, and this bio economy sector is really shifting forward today in Finland and in many countries as well, and we can feel the heat in our neck, and we think about how to answer them to that demand. And we are developing this bioeconomy campus as a joint initiative, and there are different tours, as I said, these two training organizations, but there is local business development activity of municipalities and local municipalities and regional council is also involved in that development. And we have 4 main schemes there. We are restructuring the degree programs that they match better to the demand. Then we have master plan for facility development. We are developing new operation models, and we are also some ideas of digital campus. This is one example of a degree program for rural businesses, bachelor level, and maybe you can't see it there, but for the whole duration of training, there are courses available that provide, of course, basic entrepreneurship skills and basic innovation skills, but in addition, they provide a possibility to develop the business of your own during the study time. So when you graduate, you have sufficient skills and you have the business of your own. And this is a big step related to compared to the past. Some examples of the courses that could be included there. There's a basics phase where they study entrepreneurship and innovations. There is a phase where you can take courses that support your intentions to find your idea and develop it. Then there are tools or courses for realization and commercialization of your business idea. And then you can use also studying for starting up the business. Something about the master plan. This is the present situation, but there is already something happening. We contribute or build something new, especially for biologistics center, heavy machine sector. Then we have a scheme for some places for innovation and business development. We are renewing our energy system so that it demonstrates even better renewable energy solutions. We are modernizing Kauhaus, but we are also bringing businesses to the campus. We are developing a business park area. Something about the operation models. This is one process. There are different kind of sources of ideas, and what differs from the past is that we are not concentrating on university-born ideas, but we are also inviting or looking for ideas outside of university. And then there are different kind of roles. The inventors can join with the idea, but it's also possible that the idea is signed or handed over to university under some kind of agreement or contract. And then aim of the work can be new business startup or licensing or sales of the IPRs. And different kind of approaches then depending on what line has been chosen. It can be that students' entrepreneurial pathway, what I explained, but it can be a university's project aiming to spin off, or it can be, let's say, normal ordered or contracted R&D project. Or it can be a university project that targets to IP sales. And the fourth one is digital campus or digital platform. All the organizations have their own information management systems, and they really don't communicate with each other, and it sets barriers for example, for open innovation and networking. So the idea is that we will have this kind of platform that supports easy access to the campus, open innovation, and you must notice that it's not only in Saarijärvi at our campus, but of course it can be then participated worldwide and networking as well. So, thank you. Obrigado. Hopefully
Well, we have a comment by Polytechnic Fo Rum, School of Pontlima. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. I must start saying that both your presentations were kind of music to my ears. As you said, exactly what I was expecting you to say. I mean, you come from universities of applied sciences. You create people that are entrepreneurs, students that are ready to go into the labor market, creating their own companies or triggering other people's companies. So going directly into business. So I think that your students are ready for this profession. And we also have been talking today about bioeconomy, circular economy, and definitely that's creating new job opportunities. But one way I think that when we talk about bioeconomy and circular economy, I sometimes think that we are talking about the way our grandparents lived, because they actually were living with bioeconomy and circular economy. And then came all this thing of modernization, technology. Let's improve productivities, let's use more inputs, more resources, let's become unsustainable. That's what we did. And now we're looking backwards and we're trying to see what can we do to go backwards in a way, but without destroying productivity, without destroying efficiency, without destroying profits, without destroying our new ways of life. So, and apparently that's what you're doing, and you're doing it well. Why did I say that that is music to my ears? Mainly because I think that that is, and forgive me those who may think differently, I don't think that that's what we are doing in Portugal. That's the main problem. I think that we, polytechnics, are not doing that yet. Although we have to do that sooner or later. And I think that we are mainly and still trying to imitate universities, because we have this dual system where we have universities and non-universities. So there is a kind of a stigma towards polytechnics. There is a kind of a stigma towards first-class students that go to universities and second-class students that go to polytechnics. And the same applies to teachers. And I say that it was music to my ears, mainly when you said that our job is not printing papers. Definitely not. If that was our job, we would have to go to universities, to pure science universities. That's not where we are. But that's how we are evaluated. How many papers did you write? One. You're rubbish. You know, that's the kind of situation we still live here. And I'm sorry I'm in front of a politician, but it has to be said. This is a problem in Portugal. It's mainly students, even the students that go to our schools, they want to get out of our schools with a title, a doctor, an engineer. They don't want to be professionals in higher education or something. So that's I think, the main problem. And we have a big role in that. We have a big role, I would say, in two ways, either through our students or through the contact with farmers outside, so to speak. Farmers in the north, we come from the north, are very small farms, so it's difficult to have them to do what we've been talking here. But through students, it's probably easier. If we form them properly, if we educate them properly, then they will be the seed of this new way of thinking, and they will go out developing these ideas that we've been discussing here. But it depends on the curricula of our courses as well, what we do. We keep on teaching them pure mathematics, pure physics, pure chemistry, pure management, whatever, or do we do it differently? So that's the main problem. That's what I think we have to discuss. And I'm absolutely sure that we have a lot to learn with you, and I hope that we can do it in the near future. So mainly, just like bioeconomy means changing the way of thinking and changing the way of acting, I think that this kind of teaching means the same. We have to change our way of thinking in terms of higher education. So that's the main thing. On the other way as well, I can see that we're talking about the polytechnics as responsible for transmitting new ideas to the outside. This was the role of the Ministry of Agriculture just some 10 or 20 years ago. But then these new liberal ideas in Portugal meant that less state is better state. So the Ministry of Agriculture has totally disappeared. It's something that we knew as expansion services. They're no longer there. So now it's the job of the polytechnics to do that. Yeah, we are quite pleased to do it, but we can't do it with 29 teachers. That's the number of teachers that we have in our school for an entire region, plus teaching 10 different courses or something like that. So it's absolutely impossible. We can only do it through our own students. So if we manage to have a new type of education, a new type of higher education there, then maybe we succeed in doing that. Otherwise, I don't think we will. Thank you very much.
Next, we have our colleague from Switzerland, Lucas Litzoni.
Obrigado. I will speak in English. I would have preferred to speak in French or Spanish, but I will do my best to speak the common language. Okay, my name is Lucas Litzoni. I am lecturer at IPBeja. IPBeja is part of the University of Applied Science of Western Switzerland. When you are a lecturer in a University of Applied Science in Switzerland, you make it part-time and you have to have another professional job related to your teaching. That's the basis. So, and for this reason, I'm completely agree with what was said before for the three person, and we are, I think, in the same movement. Effectively, there is something related with teaching, there is something related with sustainable development and agroecology, and also with transdisciplinarity. The University of Applied Science and Art in Switzerland, these are 7 schools. They were changed by law. In the upper education in Switzerland, you know that Switzerland is very known for its professional education, the level of professional, and then in the upper education, you have 3 types of schools. You have 2 federal polytechnics, very known, Zurich and Lausanne, which are competing at world-class level, super education and doctorate, etc. And then you have the university, academic university, which are all cantonal, from canton. We are a confederation. That means the power is in the canton, not in the nation. And you have the University of Applied Science. There were before named École Technique, or technical school, now University of Applied Science and Arts, and you have a mix between regional school, that means, for example, HESSO, which is my school, which is the original French-speaking part. Then you have cantonal school like Lucerne, Bern, and Zurich, and other regional school like East Switzerland or Northwest Switzerland, which many cantons are together. HESSO is, is the biggest one with about 25,000 of students. But that means in many places there are a network of schools under the same umbrella, and we are part of what we said, the Swiss university, all upper education system. And in this University of Western Switzerland, we have IPBeja, which is the University of Applied Science, Landscape Engineering and Architecture, and it's the result of the merge of 2 schools, the green faculty, which were nature management, agronomy, but more oriented to horticulture in broader sense, and landscape architecture, and meet and make one school with the saying the green, the gray technology, architecture, civil system, industrial technology, and ICT, the information communication technology. And in our school we have 4 departments, and we are as agronomy in the Department of Life Science. And the research is made through, or coordinated through 4 institutes, and we have an institute which are part, which is land, nature, and environment, and we try to make very integrated research, and that means the project can be driven by one institute, but with contribution of personnel of the other institutes. We are rural and urban. This part is in the rural part of Geneva, about 10 kilometers away of center, with 45 hectares of production, and also basic school for trained agricultors that receive a professional diploma and can access then to upper education, and a place in the city of Geneva. If we take the objective of this institute, Land, Nature and Environment, develop and promote technological and methodological services and solutions for management of natural resources adapted to our society with 2 axes. One is ecology, management of natural ecosystem, landscape and watershed, and the other is more environmental function and the anthropic aspect. And that means agriculture, agroecosystem, means also urban agriculture, and saying services of land managed by humans. As the workforce, we have 6 research groups, 13 professors, about 40 assistant in scientific, and that corresponds 4 research to 70 equivalent full-time. There is a mix between always. There is no research for pure research. You cannot do research if it's not related to the education that you, or the professional training that you want to do, or what we say the technological transfer and the mix that we have with private company or with direct agricultures and farmers. The main area, we start with soil. Soil is the basin, living soils. We developed an agriculture before that was not needing soil, only support. And we strongly reoriented the education in soil as a living system, needed by plant, harmonized with the system of plant and useful for human. Then water, which is also very important. Then plant, with also relation with genetic tools for environmental management, for example, pest control, with mushrooms or a system like that. Biotechnology, but we are strongly refusing OGM in principle, but using some technology that may produce OGM, but more for better knowing the genetical system of the plant and how it came to equilibrium, then horticultural technology and urban agriculture. Some few selected projects. Home soil is related to multi-criteria compensation, big problem of soils, and in particular in Switzerland, we are not like in Portugal where they said they have a lot of soils. We don't have a lot of place, like probably in the Netherlands, and the value of soil as a soil, which needs 10,000 years or a little less to be built from the nature, can be avoided completely in a couple of days and concreted or asphalted, and gaining value in that. And if you cannot give in the value of soil, you will never solve the solution of the value of agriculture. Then Jodel is related with the physical structure of soils. Bees is a license that was developed in our school that we said vertical biobed for trapping pesticides, that in washing place of machines or in collectivity, public collectivity, or also in special horticulture you can use that. And the company was created by one of our students. Chamtomo is related with the use of entomophagous mushrooms. Urban agriculture is related with the services of urban agriculture. We know that we are a very wet society. Everybody said that in Switzerland we have a very high level of, and that means that the part of the agriculture and these products are paid by the public system in the way to maintain the nature that we can valorate touristically, environmentally, or for the human health. And that means we can evaluate the value of these ecosystemic services. I'm not personally in favor of those systems that we have to give monetary value to the nature. They said, okay, Amazonas is about X million, and then that means that we have to invest. No, I think we have to be more humble and say that without nurture we cannot survive. That means that we have to be ourselves, harmonized with the nature. But it's important to to make it in the urban area where there is some exchange and some valuation that are possible. B-Flora is related with B in the cities. There are courses around that. The principle of a University of Applied Science is learning by doing. That means a lot of work is inspired by the work, and also the student says there is too much theory, we want more practice. They are inviting us to change the process we are teaching. Research is related with a network of surveillance for emerging pests related with climate change. We see that there is, we know that the capacity of adaptation of the wild and less wild nature cannot react as we can with our clothes for heating system with climate change. And for people in Switzerland, climate change is the problem because we have not enough snow. But an insect cannot have this capacity of adaptation, and then we can have very strong problem also in Switzerland related with that. Twig is a system of vegetated roofs for different reasons, climate change, intense urban zone. As partner, we are certainly the public system, that means cantons, that private company, foundation, NGO, Swiss federal agencies at national level, and we are in contact at European level or worldwide, internationally. But we have also a lot of partnerships directly with PIXA, with farmers, in the near of our canton or a little away in France or border, where we can make also direct study on their system of production, for example, no-till production or organic farming in different systems that we are also teaching in practice. And finally, you talk about circular economy. I don't know if you know Rob Hopkins, somebody very famous who has leading the process of town in transition in Totnes in England. It appears in different movies. And one solution or one instrument to facilitate circular and local economy is to make a local currency, local money that can only circulate in the region. And we made it 2 years ago. I'm one of the creator of that. I can show you, I have some lemon here. If I give it to you, you cannot use it here. Also, with one lemon is 1 Swiss franc. Now to come to Geneva to sell it, produce it. But it's one instrument that helped this transition that we are trying to do in our society. Thank you.
Temos período de debate, nós temos uma intervenção, duas intervenções ainda a seguir. Temos uma do Presidente da Agência de... Oh, the local currency.
But you have about, I don't know, in Portugal you
Can I have deal with that if I go to your...
You can use it in Geneva, you can use it in 400 different businesses, services, local, and we have about now 130,000 Swiss francs in distribution.
Who issued
The Lemon, that's the name of our lake, because it's also probably one of the first transnational local currency. It has the same value in France and in Switzerland, around Geneva. Can you repeat that? It's probably worldwide one of the first currency that is not national but transnational, because it is available around Geneva, in France, in Switzerland, and in the other canton, which which is Vaud. And then start another local currency when you are about 80 kilometers far away of the center of Geneva. And you have about now probably 40 local currency in France. I'm sure there is some in Portugal. Yeah, there is one very interesting in Sardinia, which is the Sabes. It's also what we say neutral credit. We will start the neutral credit in Geneva with the electronic lemon. And the neutral credit is something that was built to avoid a credit with interest. That means you equilibrate and different entrepreneur, enterprise and company are sharing a balanced credit and debit system, which is always equilibrated. And that you can do that without interest.
I would have a lot of questions really, but I skip it. Can I ask for comments about the presentations we have had in this session, some discussion? It would be interesting to understand and to know the opinion of the schools that we have around and what you are about. Before that, we still have two people to speak. One of them I already saw him there, is there, the president of the National Agency for Innovation, and we will have Secretary of State by Skype. She couldn't leave Lisbon in due time, so she will speak by Skype to us. This is scheduled to 6 o'clock. Good.
The question to you. Can you tell us how many hours the students stay inside a class on average per week? Because I think it's a long distance between what we do and what I have seen in a mirror 2 years ago when I was there. It's completely different. So I ask you to say to our colleagues.
Yeah. Our students are supposed to study 40 hours a week, but studying is more than being in a classroom. We have a legal minimum of 14 contact hours per week. We are more or less on that level of 14 contact hours per week. And the rest, students are in projects. And then, of course, the teachers are not on holidays. The teachers, the lecturing staff is working with the students in smaller groups, in work sessions, in projects to support the students' learning process. But just sitting in a classroom where the teacher stands in front is, I think, about 14 hours a week.
If you want, I can give also a...
Really, I can.
I suppose that also here Polytechnics you have this European credit transfer system, and then it's based on a number. One credit is about 30-hour work. That can be individual work, can be project work together, different students, can be direct education or workshops with animation or laboratory works, etc. And we have seen at the beginning, in the first years, about 60% of teaching, also in laboratory, and 40%. And then the reverse in the third year when you make the bachelor and you have a lot more of, say, practical work or work with individual decision or collective decision based on the students. And we have, for example, introduced one once a year, 1 week sustainable development workshop where all the students, that mean about 300 students from all the different faculties that have to make a work together in groups of 6, 7 students on a project on sustainable development or sustainability. And that is also very interesting and very appreciated by the students to share with people that are working on IT technology, other industrial system, and other that are saying the green, the local ecological farmers who has another vision of the society, and it's very interesting to share with them.
More comments, please? Anyway, I would like to comment about this issue. Your students graduate only with 14 hours per week, around that, of classroom. It's important we realize we do not need 24 hours or 25 or 26 as we are in most of our schools. This is something that we need to change. And by the way, in the present regulatory environment, I mean present laws, this can largely be done, and it's more a question of autonomy of each school than anything else. There is tools, I would add a comment on that. With tools we can have nowadays, for instance, distance learning or using available distance learning courses and integrating them in innovative class arrangements, we can reduce substantially also the number of hours that teachers need to spend in classroom. And instead of that, they can work on the research projects that, by the way, can attract grants and more money. Really, let me be very straight. We completely refuse the idea that the responsibility to find funds for education is only of the government. Yes, government has a responsibility for that. That is not alone. Schools have their own responsibility to find additional resources. And of course we will do our best to help them. And the present Portuguese conditions, this is especially important. But funding for research, funding for education is a community responsibility. Of course, government cannot ignore it. But the other stakeholders cannot also ignore it. I would like to make another point about the experimental farms and the big potential that I foresee about running the experimental farms network, basically within the Polytechnic network. These are not, or they have the potential to be fields for work, not only in agriculture, but also for the kind of students in the Polytechnic. Lands and agriculture can be quite interesting for field work of engineering students in not exactly agriculture fields. They can be quite interesting related to ITC students, for instance, also. So the opportunity to use field work in the associated with the land and property, the parcels that we have available in the network, can help to introduce more practice-based work and education and learning. I would like to add two other comments. We are working very hard funding needed to help Portuguese schools in the polytechnics to spend time abroad, a minimum of 1 semester, a maximum 1 year, with scholars trying to learn with our foreign friends. And of course, we will also have a lot of funding available to have foreign scholars that are willing to come here and spend minimum of 1 semester, maximum 1 year, working with Portuguese network, let's say, in agrarian things like that. We expect to have this ready for public announcement until the end of June. Well, really until the end of May, and applications probably will be done, should be done during the next month of June. And this is part of our program for internationalization. And I'm happy to have here the president of ANI, José Carlos, that probably can talk us a bit about another issue that can be interesting in this context, the funding to attract companies to work in the area of the campus, to install some kind of operations, including in the fields, in the properties, to have common work with companies, and some special funding for that will be available. But before that, it's more comments. Someone want to make more comments? Please do. Oh. No more comments. Thank you very much. Oh yes, we have it.
I have put on this table some material presenting the school, presenting research, presenting a master program. Most of them are in French, part of them is in English, and there is 2 brochures about research that we made in Brazil about small towns as hotspot of biodiversity, and these are in Portuguese.
Oh, thank you very much.
And there is some red marketing product of our school. You can use it. Pinups.
Just a final comment. We are the HESSO, the Polytechnic, where it is based.
Western Switzerland.
Yeah, Western Switzerland. We visited the Polytechnic together with the minister and some people from Polytechnics. So we couldn't at that stage visit any of schools in the area of agriculture, but we are very happy to have someone here telling us about that. And I think that probably one nice area of cooperation we can have in the future between the Portuguese Polytechnic network and Switzerland will be through the area of agriculture or related things. Thank you very much. To close, we have here the president of ANI, the man that has a lot of money for every one of us. ANI is the National Agency for Innovation. He can tell himself what he's doing, but is a very important source, or can be a very important source of funding for the polytechnics and companies working together.
So, good afternoon. With instructions of the master here, I will speak in English. Also for our guests to understand. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, first of all, Eduardo, for inviting me to be here. It was a pleasure, an honor to be part of this event. And returning to Évora and to this event where I was, and to this event where I was 1 year ago. Actually, I think it was my first event linked to the initiative, Polytechnic initiative. So it's a pleasure to return here. Now, what I would like to tell you about, as what I mentioned, are the opportunities that are open now for this community. So the National Innovation Agency is very much focused on promoting knowledge, valorization and transfer, and also a stronger link between academia and companies. So that's our main goal. And I have a particular interest in this field of agriculture and agro-industry because for two main reasons. One is that in former times, the funding for agriculture was basically outside of the scope of the agency. For ministerial and funding reasons, these were basically two separate funding instruments, two separate communities, which for me, coming from the outside, was always very strange, because for me it was very clear that in the agriculture area there was a lot of potential for applying technologies and knowledge from other areas, namely from manufacturing, from industry areas. But you know, for some reasons, for example, administrative reasons, there was a kind of a split here, and gladly this border has disappeared. So now in our funding mechanisms, we can fund all types, almost all types of activities, including agriculture and agro-industry. So this is a very good point, because complementary to that, in the last years we have seen an increased utilization of technology in agriculture and agro-food. And as I said, in many cases we can see a lot of technology transfer, so what we call cross-fertilization of technologies between different sectors. And we are seeing several technologies that are being developed to the agro and to the agro-food sector that can be useful for other sectors, and vice versa. So, and of course, this possibility of making joint projects between manufacturers of equipment and agriculture companies, and promoting this collaboration, for us, it's a new world for projects, and of course we would like very much to support this, and also because this is very important for the transformation of our agriculture economic activity. So the agency is now running several funding instruments, mainly in our case to support industry-led, business-led research and development. So applied research, not basic research, applied research that has to be led by companies. And we have, let's say, the traditional instruments to do this kind of applied, in collaborative applied research. But also we have two new instruments that I would like to, well, three new instruments I would like to call your attention to. One is a support to what we call demonstration and pilot lines. So these are funding instruments to support not research activities, but to take results from previously developed R&D projects, to integrate them and to make a demonstrator or a pilot line in a real application environment. So this is very good for example, taking results from, for example, European research projects, where maybe we are participating and we develop new technology, and then take this technology and make an application case, a real application case in a company or in a concrete application. Okay? And this is a new instrument from 2003. It was not there before, and can be very interesting also to promote this cross-fertilization between sectors. Because, if, for example, imagine that I saw a very interesting technology on, for example, energy saving in another sector that could be relevant for our sectors here. So, which means that I can use these instruments to make a pilot application of this technology that was maybe developed to another sector. They can make a pilot application to show utilization of this technology in this sector, in the agriculture or agro-food sector. The second instrument I would like to call your attention is precisely an instrument to support the participation in European programs. Portugal has increased significantly its participation in the last years, We moved from, in the FP7 program, we were around 1.14 of the budget. Now we are about 1.7. It may seem that it's still not very big, it's 1 point something. But if I tell you that our national contribution to the Horizon 2020 is 1.5, it means at least that we move from a contributor to a net beneficiary from the funding. But above everything is that we are not only research organizations, but also companies and SMEs actively participating in this European opportunity, in this European funding programs. And we know that, especially in the beginning, it's quite hard to end. It's a very competitive program. So we have some funding instruments to support the process of preparing a proposal and preparing and submitting a proposal, both for companies and for research organizations. So the costs that you may have with the preparation of the proposal, we have some instruments to support these costs. And the last but not least, I would like to highlight the instrument that was mentioned by Eduardo, that we are now promoting and using to bring collaborative work between companies and polytechnics into the campus of the polytechnics. So we have an instrument called collaborative R&D nucleus, so collaborative R&D departments, let's say. And in the previous framework program, this instrument was only individual, so companies could apply to create a research department internally into the companies. Now we have a new instrument, which is a collaborative research department, precisely because it could be a collaboration between companies and research organizations, so including polytechnic institutes and other universities and research organizations, that will be working together for a period of 3 years, not making research projects, because to do research projects we have the other instruments, but to support precisely the collaborative development of research and innovation agendas. So it's really to work together, mix teams between, in this case, polytechnics and companies, to think about new areas of development, new projects, to make eventually some proof of concept activities, and then of course we hope that at the end of this effort, new research projects, new collaborative research projects may come up. Okay? So the idea is to use available space in the polytechnic infrastructure to attract and to bring companies into the campus, so that either small companies can be there, or even for larger companies, some of their innovation department personnel can be in the campus of the Polytechnic, or on a permanent base, or at least on a regular base. Because we want to promote this proximity, this physical proximity, this working together between the companies and the polytechnics. And of course, this is better than if we are if we have a common environment to work. So this is an idea. It's not to make new buildings. It's an idea to use available space. And of course, we will support the work of these persons, the time of the cost of this person, and some other, let's say, costs that may be involved in these joint activities. So this call will be opening soon, and the moment it's open, of course, we will let you know, and we hope to make some information sessions precisely to explain this opportunity, because this is something new, that we like to explain this opportunity, and of course to invite you to take advantage of this opportunity, because I really believe that could be very interesting both for companies and for the polytechnics. And this is particularly, in our case, particularly true and relevant in the regions that are less developed, where in many cases the polytechnic institutes, the polytechnic organizations are the only development anchor that exists in the region, and then can really bring there and keep there economic activities, companies, and of course this means that we need to really make this link to really anchor these economic activities in that region, and if possible close to the polytechnic, and even better if it's in the campus of the Polytechnic. So again, just to conclude, I don't want to spend too much of your time. But okay, so I also like to give some time if you have questions and that we can answer. And I'm pretty sure that here one will have some questions already told me. So just maybe, let's say, inform you about these opportunities and tell you again that, repeat something I said 1 year ago, from all the activities that the innovation agency is involved, this work with the polytechnics is probably, and this is my personal opinion, the one with the highest transformational potential from everything that we are doing. Because this is really a tremendous network of resources, both people, I would say main people, and other physical resources, that is distributed, very much spread along the country, and that has a huge potential that needs to be further explored, and we are here to help in our using the instruments that we have available to support also this effort and work with you to push for the, let's say, also a more balanced development of our country. So thank you very much, and of course now I'm available for the questions you'd like to put. Thank you very much.
Tell me one thing. What role can foreigners have in this kind of partnerships? Are they eligible in any of these programs? Can them be part of consortiums? Can their costs be part of the project? Tell us something about that.
Okay, so we fund companies or organizations, not individuals. But foreign companies or foreign organizations can be eligible if they are, let's say, a node here in Portugal, which in most cases probably this is not what the case, and we are not what we think about. So we have several foreign companies that are installed in Portugal, foreign organizations that benefit from these subsidies, from these supporting instruments, but we cannot fund directly foreign companies or foreign organizations that are not installed here in Portugal. But they can be funded, or their work can be funded through a subcontracting of Portuguese organizations. So, for example, if a Portuguese polytechnic will subcontract work to a foreign polytechnic or to a foreign expert, then this is eligible to be funded by our instruments. Okay, not as a partner of a consortium, but as a subcontractor or a buying of something. For example, if there is a foreign organization that owns IP, intellectual property, a patent, and you, as a Portuguese organization, a Portuguese country, wants to license this patent, then to develop a new product or new service, then the buying of the intellectual property is also eligible, although made to a foreign company. So it cannot be directly beneficiaries as organizations, but they can be, their costs can be eligible if they enter into the budget of one of the Portuguese organizations.
More questions? I would stress that basically they have financing available for projects presented by companies, right?
Yes. Although we have some instruments that can be used by other organizations, namely by polytechnics or by organizations from the scientific and technological system. We have an instrument called SIAC, so the Collective Actions Instrument, chama Incentivos às Ações Coletivas, it's an instrument to fund something that we do, not for a specific company, but for a group of companies, a sector or a region. It has to be a collective set of. So, for example, if we want to make a benchmarking exercise in our sector, so benchmarking organizations and companies from our sector to similar sectors in other countries, or education organizations on technology valorization and transfer. And then at the end of the project, we make this study, these results available, so they are public available. Then these kind of projects may be put forward, may be proposed by research organizations or academia, and they are, in this case, these organizations are funded directly. So in these projects, companies cannot be beneficiaries. So they have to be indirect beneficiaries of the results of the study, of the project, but not the promoters of the project. Okay? So this is the only case where these projects can be promoted by, not by companies. And of course, I mentioned before, the instruments to support the participation in museum programs. So in that case, research organizations can apply also alone, and companies can apply also alone. Okay? So if you are a research organization and you want to put forward European proposals, then you can put forward a proposal as a research organization, say, I'm planning to make a proposal on this, on these calls, and the costs of this effort are eligible and can be supported by the agency. The rest of the instruments, they always have to be promoted by a company, and the research organizations and academia go as members of the consortium.
If I understand, at the moment, exactly now, there are 2 calls that are open.
Yes.
To run R&D projects in co-promotion with companies. So this is open until the end of May?
Beginning of June.
Beginning of June. So this is a great opportunity to convince companies to make projects and that can pay some work done in polytechnics. And the other one that is open is demonstration.
Yes.
Same time frame, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Until the end of May, beginning of June. I have seen in my tours, around the polytechnics, a lot of promising ideas that this is quite interesting. If we could transform this in a product. So this is the right tool to do that. Find a company willing to go ahead, to go ahead with field work, with commercial prototypes, with setting up pre-series, and work an application with them. Of course, this is not easy applications. These applications, like most of European funding, need work. But if we can do that work, we can have very nice resources for research and for training our students doing that research. So the opportunity on this demonstration, call and co-promotion can be quite interesting, I guess, especially in the area of agriculture and food business.
Yeah. Now let me highlight 2 things regarding to this topic. First is that we don't have a big participation of polytechnics in these calls, but we have several good examples. So it's easy for you to see that your colleagues from other polytechnics are already participating, in some of them quite strongly. Okay, so it's not rocket science, it's something that you can do. Okay? The second thing is the costs, eligible costs, are very interesting for many public organizations like polytechnics or academia, because your time as researcher is eligible, and in most cases you can be funded at 75% with a flat rate for overhead of 25%. So it's a quite interesting source of funding, both for people that already exist in the organizations, but also an opportunity, a framework for you that allows you to hire new people, because these projects last for 3 years. If you have such a project approved and you have a budget to hire a scholarship or to hire a PhD person, the person with a PhD, to work in the project with you. Okay? So this is quite an interesting, and the third aspect is linked to what I said before. This is a very interesting framework for you to build these value chains of, for example, you want to develop a new technology for agricultural purpose. So which means that you have the opportunity to put together a research organization like a Polytechnic, a machine manufacturer that makes machines for agriculture, and then a company, an agriculture company. So make these consortiums, what we call complete consortiums, that allows you to bring together in one project all the partners needed, not only to do the research, but then to take the results of the research and bring them to the market. Okay? But also some what we call some lead users, some end users that they can then help the specification, help the tests, but then to validate and demonstrate the real application of what you have been developing. Okay? So this is a quite complementary and nice instrument to complement the funding schemes from FCT that are more knowledge creation, that you can do it by yourselves without any company, but then you can use these other instruments to bring those results, to make partnerships with companies, to bring these results to the market. And it's also a nice complementary funding source, especially when you have less or you have some difficulties to get, let's say, the more upstream funding, then you can find an interesting complementary funding source in these projects to complement the funding of your organization. Okay, so I call your attention to this. Now, if you have problems, if you never did it before, my advice is to first try to find out one of your colleagues that did it, because of course it's easier to learn from him than from us. But if you have problems of identifying who, I don't know anyone, please feel free to contact us because we will do that. The same way, if you have a good idea and you are not able to find a company, you say, no, I think I have a good idea. I don't see a company. Well, let us know. I cannot ensure you, cannot promise, but we have a database of 5,000 companies that do research every year in Portugal. So if it's a good idea, again, if it's a good idea with potential, probably or maybe we can help you find a good partner to develop the project. And that's what we can do, apart of course then to provide some funding.
And there is also CFIP.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Apart from what we call financial instruments, like Horizon 2020, then in Portugal we have a very competitive fiscal incentive program. This is for companies only, not for research organizations. But we have a very interesting fiscal incentive, so which means that if you invest in R&D, you can then deduct part of that investment from your taxes, basically, from taxes your company pays. Okay? Now, this is a very competitive instrument at international level. We know that we have one of the most competitive fiscal incentives in Europe, and that's why also we are attracting some foreign companies to invest into R&D here in Portugal. And the interesting thing is, if you go just like to highlight two things. If you are participating in this kind of development funding programs, if you are a company, you are not funded 100%. So for example, you are funded, depending if you are SME, where the project is, but it can go from 25 up to 80% funding. Okay? Let's imagine that in your case, you are funded 50%. So the other 50% is your own investment. Okay? But this cost goes automatically as a fiscal credit into the CFIP system. Yeah, and it's automatic because since this project has already been supported by a national or a European instrument, it means that we don't no longer need to make sure to check if it's R&D or not, because this is was already done. In that case, if you apply for CFIP, if you're a company, you apply for CFIP, you automatically get this credit because it's something that has already been evaluated by a public body. Okay. The second thing I would like to highlight is, and you get this comment especially for SMEs and startups, is okay, but you know, I'm a startup. In the first 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I would not have profit, so I cannot deduct the credit, fiscal credit. Well, it's not true, because CFID has a fiscal memory of 80 years. So you get eight. So you can get credits from, even if you don't have profit, if you make investment in R&D, you get a credit, a fiscal credit, that you can deduct, you can use the moment you have profit. Okay? So if you are a startup in the first 4 or 5 years, you don't have profit, but then you start having profit, and you can use the fiscal credit from the previous years on that for a period, for a time window of 8 years. So, as I said, this is a very interesting instrument. We have every year about 1,000 applications. So companies, Portuguese companies that do R&D and that they apply. And we give more or less between 150 and 170 million euros of fiscal credit per year. So which means that this is by far the biggest instrument of R&D support from the agency. It's not Portugal B2B, actually is CFID. Okay? So it's a very interesting instrument, and we are also making sure that we pass this message also to smaller companies. Large companies use it on a regular basis, but also smaller, I do not mean very, very small, also but small and mid-sized companies that sometimes they don't know the instrument, they don't know how to use it, and we are also passing. I'm saying this is for companies, but it's not true. It's also important for the research organization, for academia. Why? Because this is a marketing instrument for your work. Because you can say to the company, listen, if you do this project with me, then you can go to CFID and get a significant funding from CFID. Okay? So you can help us promoting this instrument. You can help us promoting this instrument, but you can also use it as a marketing instrument, to promote your service, your R&D services to the companies. Okay?
This specific instrument can be quite interesting to polytechnics approaching very large multinational companies, for instance. Of course, this is not easy. But basically, they have a low rate of support, of funding in European funds. Am I right? Yes?
Well,
usually multinationals have low
international funding, yes.
Yes,
So large companies
this
have.
Can be quite interesting at that scale. And usually academia forgets this kind of support and funding that can be available. So thank you very much.